Today we got a fun one, guys. Signs that your UCL is cooked. First things first, my name is Dr. Trey Martin. I am a baseball physical therapist in the Orlando area, and my full-time job is helping hurt baseball players get back to the field, throw harder, stay healthy, all that jazz. So I'm uniquely qualified to present on this subject of when do you need to go see an orthopedic, and when is your elbow injury significant enough that I'm concerned and I think you need to get an MRI, a workup, all the things. But first, a brief message from our sponsors for today's video. Today's video is brought to you by absolutely no one, because I don't even have 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, so no one's sponsoring this video. So lucky for you, we're just gonna go straight into this today and talk about a couple signs that you need to go get an orthopedic exam and your elbow is problematic enough that it requires further workup. So these are some of the things that I see, and I'll have a patient call and say, hey, my son had XYZ happen, and I'm immediately thinking, okay, I gotta call an ortho, I'm gonna refer this out to someone else. Let's talk through some of the signs. All right, so sign number one is going to be swelling. Apologize in advance for the handwriting. Lefty with marker, plus just already having bad handwriting, not a good combo. So swelling, guys, is never normal. That is one of the first things I hear is someone will say, hey, my forearm's a little puffy, it's a little swollen after I start. Does not mean necessarily that you have a full-blown knee Tommy John, but it's always a sign in the back of my head that I'm thinking, ooh, that's not great. Swelling can often indicate joint stress, bone stress reactions, instability in the joint that would come from a tear. It can just be straight up inflammation, but it's a warning sign for me that's like thinking, hey, this could be a little bit of a problem. I'm a little concerned. Sign number two is nerve symptoms. So nerve symptoms are a little funky category because there can be a lot of different causes, all the way from TOS to ulnar nerve subluxations to even weird things like your forearm so tight you start getting like a pronator syndrome. So nerve symptoms in and of themselves can sometimes mean nothing, but if people are having specifically ulnar nerve patterns where they're saying, hey, my pinky, my ring finger feels a little numb after I start, I'm feeling like sharp zappy pains, that normally can indicate to me in a case of a UCL tear that now the ulnar nerve is trying to become a stabilizing restraint for their inner elbow. So instead of the UCL protecting this motion, now we're getting excessive ulnar nerve stress. So that's also a sign I'm looking for. If I hear, hey, I have swelling and I'm also getting a tingly type sensation into my pinky, I'm pretty much always going to refer that client out to get further imaging and further work. Probably the most obvious category for everyone on this list is going to be a pop. So most people think if they tear their UCL, there's just always going to be this big dramatic like explosion in your arm. You go back and you throw a pitch and boom. And that does happen sometimes. So if that happens and you have an inner elbow pop, that's also going to be a, hey, absolutely go get checked up. I'm going to send you out to meet with an orthopedic to get an MRI ordered. But point being, like with a pop, it doesn't always mean something. It could just be, you know, something harmless. But if you have a pop with swelling, with forearm tightness after, immediate referral out to an orthopedic. But also side point is there's not always this big, like obvious, like, oh my gosh, my elbow's torn in half, I for sure need this. Most of the time UCL tears are a little bit more like death by 1,000 paper cuts, so it's just chipping away at time and it's not just like this big, just sudden event. But category number three is a pop. You feel a big pop, I'm sending you to an ortho. Now we get into probably the most surprising category on this list, and that is extreme forearm tightness. This one's gonna sound a little weird. What does extreme forearm tightness have to do with potential UCL pathology? And it's pretty simple once we explain it, but on the surface it doesn't sound like much. So what it'll sound like is a pitcher will say, hey, like right here in my inner forearm line, it just feels super stiff after each start. I don't know what's going on. To me, that signals that this here, your brain that's trying to keep you safe, is detecting that you're having some inner elbow challenges, and your UCL is getting challenged. Either it's torn or it's getting challenged more than it'd like to. So the brain is now signaling muscle tension to that forearm to help provide a little extra passive stability. So it's trying to get the muscle and the tendon to kind of take up some of the slack for either a damaged UCL or for an area that's just getting overloaded more than it can take on. So forearm tightness in and of itself I would say it's a great yellow light precursor. If you're starting to notice that more and more, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's something that's already happened, but normally it's a good warning sign that there's something to come. If your forearm's always tight after every start and you feel like you can barely grip and your hand feels weak, that's a pretty good sign that you're putting too much stress on your inner elbow and that you're also on the pathway to having a more significant injury in the near future. All right, another obvious category that I haven't mentioned yet is pain. So medial elbow pain, especially if a guy's reporting to me like, hey, it's 5 out of 10 or beyond, then I'm gonna start being sufficiently concerned. And it depends on where it is. Like if they're pointing right to the inner elbow, right where the UCL sits, and they're saying like, hey, this has been going on for a while, I'm starting to feel more and more pain and it's starting to get sharper in nature, and it just won't go away. I'm feeling it when I like push into my hand like this, or hey, when I'm up in layback, I'm starting to feel some pain in the inner elbow, then that's also a sign that we're having some level of UCL trauma going on and potentially an injury. I would say pain in and of itself is not an immediate, like I need to refer this out, but the overall point of this video, we'll wrap up here for today. You use these 5 signs and symptoms to just kind of gather a case. So oftentimes a call will say like, hey, my son's been having some problems. He increased his workload. He went from throwing 2 innings and he threw 6 innings the other night. And after the game, his forearm feels really tight. He feels like it's a little puffy, a little swollen. He's having a little bit of pain, and maybe he's feeling a little something, a little numbness into his pinky. It's not always that clear, but normally there'll be something on this list that's either been progressing over time or just started, and oftentimes it'll be a kid saying something like that, like, hey, my workload went up and I'm starting to feel these signs and symptoms. But this is just kind of a piece of the story, and if a parent tells me this, then I start thinking, okay, this might be a UCL case, and if they check enough of the boxes, and if I'm sufficiently concerned, then I'm gonna send them out and refer them out for imaging. So again, this list, if you guys are watching this and you have some of these, it doesn't mean, oh my gosh, I'm getting Tommy John next week. A lot of these can just be warning signs, so they're important to pay attention to. That's why I'm making this video. Like, if you have swelling, does it mean for sure your UCL is torn? No. Is it a sign that you need to reduce your workload and take this seriously and get this evaluated? Yes. Same with nerve symptoms, same with the pop, same with forearm tightness, same with pain. These are all warning signs that can indicate something, but the point of this video is not like, oh, if you have swelling, you're done. Just go get Tommy John, hang him up. It's more of a, hey guys, if you're having these symptoms, take note of this, take this to your athletic trainer, take this to an orthopedic, get this escalated, because these are all things that should not be happening. They're not normal and they can indicate a big problem. I say this because I've had a lot of people come in for consults. They've called me on the phone and I'll say, hey, I'm gonna refer this out before you even come in. I'll save you the eval visit. You might as well get this checked out, because if I'm hearing these things, I know in my head, as soon as I get you on the table, take you through some layback testing, and I take you through some valgus stress maneuvers, you're going to have symptom pathology, and I'm gonna refer you out anyway. These things just are a little shortcut, and it's a good self thing to know at home if like, hey, I'm having these symptoms, I'm having some of these onsets happening, maybe I need to look at backing off my throwing a little bit, maybe I need to get this checked out. So, end all be all here. Sorry to make such a somber video. I hope this doesn't happen to any of you guys. Good things to know though, just a good warning pattern of what's happening before something happens. So as always, comment on this, reach out, shoot me a message if you have any questions, if you need any help. Remember, it's always a better idea to get it checked out and better be safe than sorry. Don't panic, don't freak out too much, but if you're having any signs and symptoms like this, it's good to go get a look just for peace of mind and to make sure everything's looking okay. Thanks for tuning in.